All right, welcome back. Thank you for your patience while we switched matches over here for Game 3. We do have a little bit of extra Magic coverage in Round 4 for you from this PPTQ. We currently have Erin Herman on the right at 2-1, playing against Tatian on Infect, also at 2-1. We've seen both of these players already on camera today. This is Game 3. Erin was on the play. And we'll take a look at each of their hands. It looks like John is on a Might of Old Corrosa, Ink Moth, Blighted Agent, Wooded Foothills, Become Immense, Spell Pierce, Dismember.
That's quite the hand. That's strong.
It's a pretty good opening hand, even on the draw. It looks like he was on the play. My bad.
And, yeah, on the play. So he's not playing the Blighted Agent because I assume he wants to be able to play a Blighted Agent with protection.
Sure.
So he's playing it very slowly.
He's playing it safe. He knows the matchup he's against.
So these are the decks here.
Yep.
So let's see. Infect versus Absent Evolution. So, yeah, we know that the Spell Pierces are in, the Dismember is in. Unfortunately, Dispel is not good against the Evolution deck because it no longer counters Coco and Cord. It just counters only one half of those.
Yeah. Which spell?
That spell.
All right.
John has 2 Grafdigger's Cages, and I think that's probably all that's coming in. Potentially Spell Skites, but this deck is removal light, so wouldn't be surprised if they weren't in. Probably
yeah.
Not.
TD Matumbo, I'm pretty sure you're talking about Ryan's voice, but I appreciate the compliment. I do have a pretty soothing sound. Erin's turn 2 consisted of dropping a Temple Garden and playing Voice of Resurgence, so I'm pretty sure she's at 18.
She's 18.
Kitchen Finks is the play from Erin here after John brought out a Blighted Agent. Which leaves the door wide open for John.
Yeah. If I was Erin, I'd probably assume I was dead here, but you can't just do nothing. So
I mean, if she had no interaction in her hand, that's fine. Even still, I think I would represent some kind of interaction, unless you had Evo in hand, which I don't see her hand right now. But she is going to swing for 2 here. The Voice of Resurgence, taking John down to 18.
Fortunately,
He's close.
He
has Become Immense Might. I think that might be it.
Well, this is a short feature match, so.
Well. Sneaky. What an astute observation.
Yeah, so the second one is...
I'd be inclined to agree with you.
So, John's going to untap, cast a Might of Old Corrosa in his main phase, giving +4/+4.
And then 2 mana and Become Immense.
Yeah, 4 cards in his graveyard, +2 is 11, so...
That should be it.
Yeah, that'll be a quick feature match.
Yep. I say should be. He might punt. We don't know.
Nah,
or I'm sorry, he might make an interesting line of play.
Yeah, he might take an interesting line. John's good, though.
Yeah.
He's played this deck for long enough.
Oh, gotcha, Sneaky. Well, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, let's. He also has the mana just to dismember something for fun if he wants to.
For fun.
Yeah. Maybe just get this Voice of Resurgence off the board.
And we're done. Might become
he's just holding up Spell Pierce, I guess. Oh, did we miss some Infect damage? Oh,
no,
yeah,
I
just didn't see him play them.
Yeah.
I was looking away.
Nope, she's dead.
Yeah.
All right, so very quick end of round number 4. John's going to take this match 2-1 over Erin Herman. Sorry, I got the names mixed up. John's going to move to 3-1 on Infect, likely moving himself into the top 8. Erin at 2-2 is going to have to fight her way in and hope for some good tiebreakers.
Yeah, we might be able to give a standings update, but likely what we're going to see...
I can get a print on standings.
Yeah, so depending on if people drew, what we're going to see next round is a 2-1-1 feature match if enough people have that record. Otherwise, we'll probably see...
I think the only people with that record are Lantern Control players, and I'm not even kidding.
I mean, if that's the matchup that's playing for top 8, we should probably
play it. Sorry, Twitch chat.
I think it's better than putting a match that doesn't matter for top 8.
Yeah. So we have a couple minutes left. Let's do some more Factor Fictions. How does that sound?
Sure.
All right. So
we'll take some Factor Fictions from Twitch chat too if you guys have them.
Sure, we'll do one while they think of it. This one's going to be near and dear to my heart, and this is an older Factor Fiction. But given the current state of Modern, I think it's worth bringing up. So, given the current Modern meta, Factor Fiction Blue-red twin should still be on the ban list.
You go first on this one.
I'm going to give you 2 guesses to see what I would say right now.
I mean, I know you're gonna say. I already know what I'm gonna argue. I'm just formulating the argument.
Oh, okay.
I'm stalling. You can go ahead.
All right. So I'm gonna go with fact. I actually think Twin should still be banned. So however I said that, I think Twin should still be banned. I played Twin for a very long time. Twin was my pet deck forever, like ever. It was my favorite deck in the format after Birthing Pod got banned. I played it for many a month. I got really upset when it got banned, and I think it kept blue decks viable, but I think it was just way too consistent at just oops, I winning you, and it forced your opponent to have way too many things to have to deal with. Like, oh, do I have to deal with the tempo plan? Oh, well then I guess I tap out and I lose. Oh, I cast Cryptic Command? I guess I lose. I do anything relevant on your turn and you just have it anyway? I lose. I think it would help the format right now against some of these fast decks to keep them in check, but I think it would make the format as a whole more unhealthy. We see a lot of diversity in the current stream of Modern decks that, while some of them are faster than turn 4, which I know is Wizard's vision for Modern, I do think it would be a little bit more oppressive than we want to think. So I'm actually going to stick with fact that Blue-Red Twin should still be off the ban list, or on the ban list.
So, I'm pretty torn on it. I think the format would still be healthy if Twin was legal again, but I'm not confident enough that I would make the action to take the card off the ban list. So, like, to unban a card, there has to be really good motivation for it, the same as banning a card in the first place. I personally think that if Twin came off the ban list, there would be a max exodus back to Blue-Red Twin. I think it's also really good against like ban Eldrazi strategies, and it's good against a lot of the decks that are really popular right now. I think it would just immediately spike back up to a huge percentage of the meta. And I know that personally I would have a hard time convincing myself to play anything besides Twin.
Oh, me too.
So I think
absolutely would play
I actually,
Twin.
Unfortunately, think it's a dangerous unban. But we were talking before about control decks being dead, and this is part of why control decks are dead. Like
because Twin's gone.
Because you need your control deck to have a combo finish.
Yep.
So I'd say. What was the fact or fiction again? How do you word it?
Twin should still be on the ban list.
Yeah, I'm gonna say fact on that.
Okay.
I think Modern's at a good place right now, and I think that a major shakeup has more potential to be bad than potential to be good.
As long as there's a Pro Tour.
Because the best case scenario is that you add the deck back into the format, and like all of these decks that are viable remain viable.
Yeah.
But the worst case is that it just pushes a bunch of decks out of the format.
All right, so
also I play Affinity and Infect, so I prefer it to stay banned.
Oh please, Shatterstorm's not that good against you. All right, so a couple fact or fiction from Twitch. The first one is from Sneaky Shadowstalker, who says, "Fact or fiction: Lantern Control or a piece of it should be on the Modern ban list." I'm gonna start with you, Ryan.
Lantern Control or a piece of it should be on the Modern ban list. There's like 4 cards in that deck that I think should be banned. Like, it runs Chalice of the Void, it runs Ensnaring Bridge.
Sure.
I guess it doesn't run Blood Moon, but can it run Blood Moon? It can't, right?
Probably shouldn't.
I mean, it runs like Mox Opal, but that's.
Sure.
I think Ensnaring Bridge should be banned.
Do you?
Yeah.
Explain.
I think it's extremely unhealthy for the format. It warps matchups so much that you can't actually really realistically build around it.
Sure.
Like I'm not going to make a deck thinking, can I beat Ensnaring Bridge game 1?
Yeah.
And like if to answer yes to that, you just have to either have like one random answer that you hope you draw, or just change your deck completely.
I mean, I think it shuts off pretty much every deck in the format right now that is tier 1.
It
and a lot of tier 2
strategies. It shuts off a
strategies.
tremendous amount of decks.
In fact, Affinity, Death Shadow Aggro, all the evolution decks most likely. Yeah, it's just a significant portion of the meta right now just be shut down, or it is shut down by Ensnaring Bridge.
Yeah, so the effect is really powerful. It just like skews matchups to a ridiculous amount. The decks that are playing it, you basically need to have it in most of the matchups.
Yeah.
And just that by itself wouldn't be much of a problem, but the problem that's starting to happen now is that the card's good.
The card is pretty good.
Right, so if if the card like wasn't good against that many decks, it's like not that big of a deal.
Sure.
Go
ahead.
It's funny because it was like when Eldrazi was huge, it was the good guy, kind of. We were like, yeah, we can run Snaring Bridge to beat the Eldrazi deck. But that deck's banned, so...
Boo, and Snaring Bridge is the bad guy now.
I think it's Snaring Bridge. That's...
So, I was trying to play devil's advocate there. I 100% agree with you. And Snaring Bridge should definitely be on the ban list. I'm not going to repeat the reasons you just said, because they're the reasons I think so. So, I think if the piece of land and control is going to be banned, it should be in Snaring Bridge.
Yeah, I think it's Snaring Bridge. Is what I would ban from that deck.
All right. So, this Fact or Fiction comes from Trenamaris. If I pronounced your name wrong, I'm sorry. But he says, Fact or Fiction, mulligans are much more important than modern compared to standard and legacy.
You want to take this one first?
Yeah, I'll take this one first. I think mulligans hurt players more in modern, generally. Just with the number of matchups that rely on you having 7 cards. 6 cards slow down a lot of the fast decks. Like your Infect decks and your Affinity decks get slowed down usually by at least a turn on a mulligan of 6, and that usually is enough to break open a matchup for them so that the other decks can interact. So, not really much of an explanation other than that. I think the fast decks need to stay fast, and the interactive decks love to see the mulligans, because the interactive decks usually have more pieces that they can work with on 6 cards than the fast decks can on 6. So I'm going to say fact. Also, if we want to get into the logic over legacy, I think Force of Will isn't a card in the format, so you can't rely on that being on your 6.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly going to say fact that it's most important, and by important, I mean, yeah, Brain Cicada, you can feel free to
go ahead.
But I think that mulligans are more important in modern because so many of the matchups are dependent on a few cards in your deck, and a lot of matchups where your deck is like there's a lot of decks that are somewhat flexible, but you play such a specific role in a matchup that you need to see like one half of your deck. So if you have a hand that has too much of the other half, for example, if you have a beatdown hand against a deck you can't race, you just have to ship the hand. And I think you end up seeing a lot of aggressive mulligans to sideboard cards in modern.
I was actually about to bring that up. Given the number of decks that are currently in the modern format, and there are a lot that you can play and be viable with, the sideboard, you have to craft your sideboard in such a way to try to tune it to the decks you're expecting. And there's always going to be some decks you're not going to see, or you're not going to see your answers to, but there's going to be so many more where you need those 1 to 2 cards. And so mulliganing down to try and find those bullets, if it makes your matchup more effective, is way more important than just keeping your 7 and hoping you draw that silver bullet.
Yeah, and as far as legacy goes, most of the good decks are running Brainstorm. So if you have... decks are running Brainstorm. If you have a non-functional hand with a Brainstorm, you can just see 3 new cards. And just keep the raw card advantage by not mulliganing. Or if you have 6 and with a Brainstorm, you're probably going to keep it. No matter what. And
this isn't to advocate never mulligan. There are hands where you have to mulligan. Brain Cicada brought up a good point. Having a fast enough hand against is far more important than the number of cards in hand.
Yeah, it's especially true so it's true, and I think it's very true in combo decks. It's very true in aggressive decks. Basically, any deck where you're trying to put piece A plus piece B together
equals
you
win.
Have to. So even if you're not looking for a sideboard card, you still need to do that. Like you can't keep a hand with no Boggle or a hand with no Infect Creature if you can help it.
Well, we saw that didn't.
Yeah, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, that didn't quite work
even
out
with
today.
the Devil Get Probe.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're playing a combo deck, it's the same thing. You just need to. If you don't have any of the pieces, it's like a lot. If you don't have any of the pieces, it's a lot worse than mulliganing to 5 and having one of the pieces.
So I think we're both in agreement. Mulligans are more important here.
Yeah, and I think the mulligans are less important in standard specifically because that's actually like card advantage matters a lot, and you have to hit your land drops. So that's like hitting your land drops is a resource that just requires you to have cards.
Standard doesn't have the silver bullets. Modern and Legacy does.
Yeah, and
simple enough.
In standard, if you're not hitting your 3rd land drop, even if you're not hitting your 4th land drop, that's a death sentence in a lot of matchups.
Definitely.
So, if I have like a 5-card hand with 2 spells, there's matchups where I'm going to keep that hand. But in modern, there's no way I'm keeping that hand. Like almost any match. Well, I guess if I'm playing Scape Shift, I might keep that hand.
All right, so our final Fact or Fiction comes from Jem Manet, who says, Fact or Fiction, Ryan Dunn will go 4-2 at the next RPTQ.
Yeah, so he's making fun of the fact that I've played in 6 RPTQs so far, and I've gone 4-2 in I think 5 of them.
Oh, okay.
So I have a bunch of these insulting top 16 playmats that just It's like
How
it's like a play
insulting
that's
are
like-
they to you?
It's like daggers. It's like you didn't even make top 8. Here's this play mat. Like you didn't even have a chance to
Consolation
play
mat.
for an invite. Yeah.
Consolation play, Matt.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say that's probably fact.
So you have like an 85% probability based on your current
Yeah,
run?
something like that.
I mean, I'll say
80%.
fact, but that's just because I want to be salty to you. I've played in 2 PPTQs my entire go at things. I've made the finals of both of them. I've lost the finals of both of them, so I've never even been in an RPTQ. But if I were ever in an RPTQ, I would do far worse than Ryan. So I wouldn't even get a consolation play, Matt. I would just get a high five from all my friends for scrubbing out at 0-2. But for Ryan to go 4-2, reasonable record, not enough to get you on the Pro Tour, but you do get a nice little piece of rubber.
Oh boy. And a box. That's
And
good.
a box. Boxes are fine.
That's the consolation.
But the
prize.
consolation play, Matt, is really what we're looking for here. So I'm going to go with fact.
Yeah. So we've got the next one coming up in December.
Yeah.
We're going with Rob Nick,
Okay?
who just qualified.
Yeah, he commentated with me for the standard
Yep.
PPTQ we did here a few months
so some
ago.
viewers might remember him. He actually just won a PPTQ yesterday with Infect.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, he's pretty
excited
good.
for
He's
that.
pretty good at converting. I think he's been in the RPTQ every season he could be.
I don't know how many he was playing before. He
Like the last 3 he's
The
been
last
in, though.
season. No, it's just the last season he was in, and then this season he's in.
Oh, I thought he won 3.
I don't think he played them that much before.
Okay. Well,
But now he's
now that
free
he's
to-
doing it, he's converting quite easily.
He's free to spend his weekends playing GPs now. So
Oh.
you can try to queue that way.
So he can qualify for the promotional tour in that fashion.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up round 4 here from Western New York Gaming. I'm Tom Davis. This is Ryan Dunn. Ryan's going to go 4-2 in a couple months, and we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the last round of Swiss. So stay tuned and don't miss a beat.